One of the most interesting things in Chaos Zero Nightmare is the Chaos system. It is a roguelike mode and it is your most easy accessible option to power up your characters. Now the Chaos worlds, they are absolutely ruthless, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So, in this video, I'm gonna break down the Chaos system, I'm gonna give you my best tips for it, and when we get to the end, hopefully you'll be a Chaos master. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, my name is Hako. So, the Chaos worlds, they will open up as you progress into the story. First we open up Blue Pot, then Twin Star Shadow, then City of Mist, then Swamp of Judgment, and then the Foretold Ruin. Now, you might think that these are all the same, but they are vastly different from one another. First of all, they all correlate to a specific attribute where that attribute shines. Take the Blue Pot for example. In here, Passion characters are gonna have an easier time because the end boss, he is weak to passion. You will also notice that they come in different sizes. Small, medium, extra large, and what the size actually does is that it tells you how many nodes are gonna be in it. How many nodes do you have to go through to get to the final boss? Now, you might look at that and think, I'll just go to Blue Pot. That seems to be the best option because we're done soonest. Well, in Chaos, everything is about risk and reward. The higher the risk, the higher the reward on everything in here. The big reason why we'd even go to a Chaos is to power up our characters. After you're done with a Chaos run, you can save that run. Any equipment and any cards you picked up, you get to keep. And can then be used in other hard game modes. And the more nodes we pass through, the higher the chance of getting Epiphanies or getting gear. But also, of course, the higher the chance for death. Each Chaos also has its own unique progression system. The more you adventure into Blue Pot, for example, the better stuff you will unlock. For example, if you get to level 25 in here, you will unlock the ability to be able to find Moon of Destruction on your runs. When you get to level 30, you will get Dimensional Cube. So, if you have specific characters that you really want to power up, maybe going and grinding out the Chaos that has an item that is really good for them is not a bad option. For example, City of Mist, as the last level 30 reward, we get Psionic Combat Suit. This is absolutely insane on Orlea, Kayron or Tressa. And now it doesn't cost any resource to enter in here and we can do it as many times as we want. However, when we get to a final boss, we can choose to claim loot with a loot certification card. We get 4 of those every week and they don't carry over, so make sure that you always use 4 of them up every week. Now if I go into City of Mist, you will unlock different difficulty levels the higher you level your account. And at the bottom you will also see save data value. The higher the difficulty, the better the save data value you will be able to accumulate in here. And save data value is the saved builds that we get for our characters. Also at the top right, we have a toggle button. What this does is that it turns on trauma mode. Now this little toggle won't be available right away to you. I think it unlocks after you send your first agent to the infirmary and you need to treat them to psychotherapy to get them out. After you've done that, you can then toggle on the deep trauma mode. What this mode does is that it makes everything harder. You accumulate more stress, the monsters are harder. Every character also has one thing that you need to avoid to not build up even more stress on them. Calip and Magna, for example, they will get 1 stress every time you pick a node that is not a combat node. So this toggle puts the game from normal to hard. And you might be asking, Hako, why would I ever do that? Well, once again, to get better loot. If we're in the harder Chaos mode, you will have a higher chance to get Epiphanies. The big reason why we go in here is to get better builds and to trigger special Epiphanies for our characters. Remember when I said that everything is about risk and reward? Yeah, this ups the risk, but it also massively ups the reward. So when you enter into a Codex or a Chaos, you will not get to bring a build, you will go in blank and then accumulate a build as you go. And here we can see the mental afflictions of all the characters. Calip and Magna, they will gain 1 stress whenever they enter a non-combat area. And Orlea, she gets 1 stress whenever she defeats an enemy with an attack card. You will also get to choose a fate. Now the fates have different rarities, all of these are common. Obviously you want to pick a fate that makes sense for the team that you're running. Now since we have Orlea, I'm tempted to go Inspiration because there's a 25% chance that we will create an additional card whenever we create one of her slimes. So let's do that. Now we load it in. What I would highly recommend you to do is click the little looking glass icon and get the full map. Now if you played roguelike games before, this probably looks familiar. We will be starting out here and then we're gonna be moving out and reaching the end, and here's the final boss. As you can see, there's gonna be a lot of nodes to go through. And the nodes are the red ones with the sword. They are normal battle. They will reward you a little bit of credits after you're done with them. Now the credits is nice, but one of the big things about entering combat is that you have a chance to trigger Epiphanies on your card. The really good ones are called elite battle areas. Now the elite battle areas, they will also reward you with credits, just as the normal battles, but you will also get a piece of gear. The gear can be rare or legendary. For the question marks, those are called unknown. In those, you have a vast array of events that can trigger. And these are honestly quite fun, and just as the symbol implies, you never know what you're gonna get. There are some rare unknown encounters that can give you really amazing and good loot. Obviously they are a bit of a gamble, you never know what you're gonna get. But in general they are very good. After that we have safe zone areas, shop and waypoint area. Now the shop is always tied to a safe zone. You can't find a shop just on its own, or at least I've never found it. At the rest area you will have a choice to do some different things. You can rest to gain some HP and reduce your stress. Or you can train on the bike and you will get to pick one of 3 neutral cards to add into your deck. If you go to a rest area that has a shop, well, you will also be able to purchase stuff from the shop. Now, if we look at the elite battle up at the top, we can see that it has an additional icon. That icon means that it's like a rare event that has spawned and there's a higher chance to get even better loot. And finally, we have the waypoint areas. The waypoint areas is like your little checkpoint. You can take a break from the chaos and then come back later, like you can go and do other stuff. Also, whenever you enter a waypoint area, you will also be presented with a random piece of loot. Now, my strategy for the chaos areas is to try to hit as many elite combats as possible. Now, this will of course give you a harder run overall. If you're really struggling and you're starting out, you might not want to do this, but if you're in it to actually improve your characters, we're all about the risk and reward. The elite battle areas are vastly better than the normal battle areas in terms of getting loot and good cards for your characters. Now, in my experience, it's not usually the actual damage that kills you in this run, it is the stress, just like Darkest Dungeon. Whenever you get hit by an enemy, your characters will be afflicted with stress. Stress is shown as the purple bar underneath the HP bar. Each character has their own stress meter, and if it fills out, that character goes into a mental breakdown. The first time your agent goes into a breakdown, you need to play up to 5 of their breakdown cards to get them out of it. Every time you play a breakdown card, there's a chance that something will happen. They might attack your team, which will reduce your max HP. They might make some of your other cards more expensive, and there's also a small little chance that they will sober up and get out of the breakdown state. But more usual than not, you have to play the max amount of card it takes to get them out of it. They will start at 5, then 6, then 7, so for every breakdown it's harder to get them out of it. So how do we manage stress in the best way? Stress can be managed in several ways. Going to a campsite can reduce stress by resting. If you rest at the campsite, you will get back 20% of your HP and all character stress will also be reduced. Now, the campsites are great for handling stress, but I personally don't like going to them because it's kinda like wasting a node a little bit. And if you want really good saved builds for your characters, try to visit as few campsites as possible. Rather, you want to be playing with good enough characters that can handle it without visiting every single campsite. Another way to reduce stress is by attacking and killing enemies, breaking enemies, and also healing your team. Important to note regarding the healing that you only have a chance to reduce stress if there's actually health to be healed. If your team is at 100% health and you do a heal spell, that will not reduce any stress. And some characters also has epiphanies that helps with stress management. These are usually the controllers/healers. Orlea has a really good one that I only encountered a few times. Mika has one that is more common. But in general, your characters are gonna break down. Having one character breakdown can be bad. Having two character breakdown at the same time usually results in a game over. Every time a character breaks down, they also take a third of your HP and kinda locks that away until the character is out of the breakdown. So with two characters down, you are down to 1/3 of your health and only 1/3 of your characters. If this happens in a boss battle or an elite battle, well, you can usually kiss yourself goodbye. And the sad reality of it is that is how some of your runs are gonna end. The ways to mitigate that is try to break down at optimal places. So, for example, if we're about to head into a boss battle and there's just one normal battle before that, and one or two of your characters are really close to breaking down, maybe it's worth stalling that normal battle, have your characters break down and get them out of it in that normal battle, rather than having to deal with all of that in the actual boss battle. One thing that is good with the breakdown, once you manage to get a character out of it, them sobering up, snapping out of it, will also massively reduce the stress for your other characters. And also the character that just healed from a breakdown, they will completely lose all of their stress. Not only that, their ultimate will also only cost 2 EP to play if you play it immediately. Or well, it will still be 2 EP to play even if you play it later, but it comes up as playable right now. Meanwhile, if you choose to do something else instead, it might go back to the EPs not currently available. Now, truly mastering the chaos, it takes time and experience. The big reason why we're here in the first place is to build out our characters and get really good save data that we can use for the other endgame modes. So one of my biggest tips is when you go into a Chaos or a Codex, pick one of the characters that you aim to really deck out. So in this run, for example, if I decide that my goal is to really power up Kalip, and whenever I encounter an event where I get to pick someone to get an Epiphany, I will choose Kalip. Same if I get to duplicate a card, I will try to focus on Kalip. Then there's a much higher chance that I will get a really broken save data for Kalip, rather than if I try to spread all of the rewards equally among them, I might get, good save data for all of them, but not a perfect one like I would have gotten if I only focused one. So that would be one of my tips. Focus one of your characters. But then also be open to change. If you get really good epiphanies for a character you weren't planning on, maybe pivot and start focusing on that character. Every character wants different pieces of gear. Every character has certain gear pieces that really make the character broken. Magna, for example, there is an accessory that makes it so at the start of a turn, if you have a Magna card that has lead on it, she will automatically play. This is a blue accessory, but it is absolutely freaking broken on Magna. Magna has a bunch of kind of expensive lead cards, more are unlocked via Epiphanies, and getting that one massively, it's just such a massive boon to her. There's also certain weapons, certain armors, etc. that works very well on different characters. And like I said, that will take time or experience to figure out. You can also watch my individual character guides where I go through it more in depth for each character. Now let's talk about the different kind of epiphanies, because there's actually 3. One of them is called Combat Epiphany, and this is a random chance to trigger whenever you enter combat. You can also see in your draw deck if you have an epiphany in that deck. Now, an important thing about epiphanies, if you see that you have an epiphany in your draw deck, but you don't have time to get to it before the combat is over, well, don't worry. You will then get that epiphany as a reward when the combat is over, and that is what shows up as the reward called Latent Epiphany. When you play an epiphany card, an animation will play out, and that character will unlock one of their unique cards. And the unique card that we just unlocked, it will also be a 0 cost for that turn. Now the cards that were created through Epiphany, so the unique cards, they themselves can get a card Epiphany. Now as a baseline, every unique card has 5 different versions of it that we can pick from. Or rather, it has 5 different versions and you will be presented with 3 of them chosen at random. Some of them are obviously better than others, and some of them excels in certain playstyles and in certain teams. But now, super important, there's also a thing called Divine Epiphany. Now, whenever you've gotten an Epiphany on a card, you might have noticed that there's a special animation that plays out. And different divine entities will provide you with different divine epiphanies. When you activate an epiphany on a card, there's a very low chance that the divine epiphany will appear. Now, what the divine epiphany does is that one of the 3 choices presented to you will be an extra powerful one. And you will be able to see which one by it glowing slightly more and also having an extra symbol underneath the AP cost in the top left corner. Now, I would say that almost in all cases you want to go for the Divine Epiphany. There is a chance that it will keep the Divine Epiphany when you leave. There's also a chance that it won't, but if it does, that is a great saved build. And what could really set a perfect save data apart from a non-perfect one is that you manage to get a lot of Divine Epiphanies for a certain character, while also picking up gear that really works on that character. So in a run, we're obviously looking to add in very powerful cards to your deck to hopefully get a really good save data that we can then use. However, as important as adding cards is, I also want to make you very aware that sometimes removing cards is of equal importance. Now, some characters mail in, their bread and butter is their basic cards and they should never be removed. But on a character like Magna or Calip, there are some basic cards that you're better off removing. In Calip's case, you can remove the Lashing. In Magna's case, both the Frozen Fist and the Frost Shield, they're not bad cards, but if we unlocked all of the other Epiphany ones, we'd rather pull them. Amir is also a character which you want to get the rapiers out of the deck as soon as you can, because they are dog shit. And if you're a little bit newer to card games, you might be scratching your heads and be like, Hako, why would I want to remove my cards? Well, for example, if we have 20 cards in the deck, and 10 of those are basic cards, we'd rather remove all of those so that the only thing that's left in the deck is the really good cards. Take Orlea, for example. Attack my minions is a decent enough card in the beginning, but when you've gotten quite far into the run, you will have so many better cards when it comes to creating the slimes that you'd rather not have attack my minions. So, remove cards is an extremely valuable thing. You can do it in the shop, and a lot of events will also allow you to remove a card. And as a sidekick to removal, there's also certain events and happenings that will allow you to transform a card, usually into a really good other card. And this should go without saying, but never pick one of your good unique cards to transform. Instead, transform one of your basic bitch cards. And this also goes into my tip of picking one character and try to make as good of a deck for them as possible. So, for example, if I'm going for a Calip deck, getting rid of her slightly bad cards in the beginning, getting rid of her basic cards first is wise. So for Calip, both Lashing and Tyrsvau, they can go. The first time you remove a card in the shop, it costs 80, and the second time it costs 120. For the shops, I would say try to not go past them too much, because before every goddamn boss, you will get the shop. And even if there's nothing interesting in the shop, you can refresh it up to 3 times. Certain things will be on sale, the shop sells gear, it also sells different cards. While we're on the subject of the shop is always at the campsite, and you will see a little extra icon if there's a shop there. At the campsite, you can use the shop how much you want, but you will then have to also make a decision if you want to rest at the campfire, regain some health, regain some stress, or use the training bike. The training bag won't heal you, it won't do anything for your stress, but you will get to pick one of 3 random common cards. Obviously, if you're good on health and you're good on stress, taking the bike is a good option. Just be aware that the bike can be very hit and miss. Sometimes I've paid for it and I've not liked any of the choices. And in that case, if the 3 cards presented to you are all kinda bad, don't pick them into your deck. Like we've just been over, you don't want to fill up your deck with poop cards, so then it's much better to skip. Don't pick whatever card just because you can pick a card. It is extremely important not to fill up a big deck with a lot of bad cards. You would much rather have a small deck with good cards. Having a big deck is not a good thing in this. The first chaoses and the first difficulties, they will only have one level. Get through the level, which is going to be relatively short, defeat the boss, and then you're out. Once you reach, I think it is difficulty 3, you will start getting 2 layers. You'll have the first level, then you will have the interior. The interior is lengthier and it is harder. And once you've gotten to the interior, the game kinda expects you to start having, some good combos and like a really good deck going. And if you still haven't managed to pick up good things for your characters at that point, well, you might be in for a rough time. Once you've gotten to the end boss in the interior, you are done. Defeat that boss and then you are out. Defeating a boss always lets you duplicate a card. The cards are chosen randomly, so it's all luck-based. But if luck wills it, you might be able to copy the best card of your best character. So when you get out, you might have a deck that has, 3 or 4 copies of a card that usually only has 1, just because it is so good. If you've then also managed to get some divine epiphanies on that character, that is absolutely amazing. From my own observation, there seems to be not 100% chance that every card that you've upgraded actually makes it out with the deck. I'm not sure if this is luck-based or if it's a bug, and this seems to be especially common if you duplicate a card. In one of the runs, I managed to make 3 copies of one of Magna's card, but when I got out, only one of the extra duplicates made it out, and the other 2 were nowhere to be found. Also, like I said, some of the divine epiphanies I've seen turned into normal epiphanies. I'm assuming that this is a luck-based thing and they might not make it out, and I'm hoping it's not a bug. Now, that is if you make it to the end. The lower difficulties kinda ease you into it and you can play a little bit what you want. But once you reach difficulty 5 and upwards, the game gets quite hard. And there has been more than one run where I have not made it to see the final boss. What happens if you have a full party wipe, either because you run out of HP, or because all of your 3 characters go insane, because if all 3 of them have a mental breakdown at the same time, well, you're done. So what happens is, once you reach 0 HP, you will enter into a broken state. In this broken state, you cannot heal and you cannot get out the mental breakdowns. And the next little source of damage will kill you. If the enemy then kills you, there's a very high chance that some or all of your characters that was in that run, that they are gonna need Psychotherapy in order to be used again. If you got really far and you managed to get a really good save state, you might want to keep that save state. And if so, you need to actually go through the therapy that is gonna cost you one of your hangout voucher for that day. What you can also do is just pay some units just to have their memory wiped, but that will also take away the save state. If you've already spent all of your hangout vouchers for that day, you can also pay 30 crystals to do the therapy instead. Once you made it out with your save data, well, you can then use it until the end of times in a lot of other different endgame modes. And even if you got a really good save data with the character, well, you might, want to get a new one with a slightly different focus. Magna, for example, she can be an excellent main carry, but in certain constellations, you'd rather have her as just a defensive unit, just shielding, not so much damage. So having 2 different save states and naming them accordingly, can help you out for different team setups. If you want to get better at the game and power up your characters, doing the chaos runs is an excellent way to spend your time. And it is also a lot of fun. At Commander level 40, you will also unlock the Zero system. This is kinda like the chaos, although it has some other tweaks to it. One thing is that you have some meta progression where you can permanently level up some stats that you will get while in here. There is also a progression bar that you can progress by doing the codexes. To craft the codex, you will click Codex and then make a new one unless you have one. This costs quite a lot of units. Then if you press Merge, it will present you with an option of 3 different chaos zones that we can dive into. As you will see, they also have their own specific niches and tweaks to them. The one to the left will give me 60% more of the ice, the really good resource that we get in here. Now, the one to the left, for example, will give me 60% more Chaos Orbs. Although we only get Chaos Orbs if we make it out. And if we take a little bit of a look at the modifiers, this is gonna be hard as all hell. Max health decrease by 2% at the start of each turn. Elite and boss area monsters attack and max health increase by 30%. And max health decreases by 20%. This is brutal. The one in the middle, not as hard, but we don't get as many chaos orbs. The one to the right looks kinda doable. It will add in 6 more elite spots, and the elite spots are great, and we'll get to why. It will also let you save your build, so 6 more elite spots is not a bad thing. Obviously, this comes down to a question, is this actually doable? Because all of the elites will also have 40% more attack and health. In the Codex, you will level up, and it is a better use of your time. So everybody, I think that about covers it. I aim to make this video informative for the people that had no idea what the Chaos was. And even if you are a seasoned veteran at the Chaos now, hopefully I could teach you something as well. And as a final tip to be summing it all up, you want to be taking as much risks as possible, because that will yield the highest possible rewards. Obviously, you will have to adjust the risks to what your team is capable of. The endgame goal is for you to have a strong enough team that you can take on all of the risk, reap all of the rewards, and then make it out alive. Now, we cannot bring in the save states into a Chaos. So if you want to power up your characters and give them the best chances for success, what you can do is upgrade their potentials, upgrade their partners, raise their max level, and make sure that your team makes sense. The longer the Chaos, the more strain it is on your team to make sense. And getting through a very long Chaos without having a controller like Orlea or Mika or Cassius, it is extremely hard because they help out a lot with the healing, but also the stress management. And if you're disheartened because you don't have the best characters, remember that every single character in this game can be made to be an absolute monster. Some characters are more niche and more reliant on other teammates than others, but if you can meet their needs, every single character in this game is an excellent character. And the real MVP of this game mode is Mika. Alright everybody, if you have additional tips for your fellow commanders, slap them down underneath the video in a comment. If you found the video helpful, feel super free to help me out with a thumbs up, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I am an official Chaos Zero Nightmare creator, and I cover this and Zone Zero as my 2 main games. There's also a Chaos Zero Nightmare section in the Discord, link down in the description. Alright everybody, as always, thank you so much for watching, have a big hug, until next time, Hako out.
Just fill me with that alcohol, the time is getting slow. No words convince me, beat that soul, don't ask me what is real. Just fill me with that alcohol, the time is getting slow. No words convince me, beat that soul, don't ask me what is real. Get drunk, live for sunrise.